And welcome back to NewsNation Live. I'm Laura Ingle in New York. Americans are remembering the late Charlie Kirk, the conservative influencer's assassination, spurring calls to end political violence, with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle urging Americans to reject hate. NewsNation is live from Washington and Utah with America's reaction to Kirk's shocking assassination. As we mentioned, NewsNation has team coverage in the wake of Charlie Kirk's shocking assassination. NewsNation correspondents Libby Dean and Nancy Liu on the ground in D.C. and in Utah for us. And joining us to discuss the political fallout from this tragedy, Republican strategist Amanda Mackey and former managing director for the DCCC, Taryn Rosenkranz. Joining us now is Republican strategist and former candidate for Florida Congress, Amanda Mackey, and founder of New Blue Interactive, Taryn Rosenkranz. Thank you both for being here. Now that we're learning that the funeral is set, plans are being made, and you got to think about the security that's happening. I want to get your take, both of you, to give you an opportunity to give me your reaction to what has taken place. Amanda, I'll start with you and also ask you about the security that we're going to have to see next Sunday.
Well, obviously a horrible tragedy that has rocked both sides of the aisle. It's been great to see the outpouring of support for Charlie Kirk, his widow, his children, his family. What has been really heinous, though, is what we've seen on social media with people cheering and in glee over what's happened, and that needs to stop. And I hope that we see more politicians on the left, especially, come out and denounce those actions. Now, with regards to the security aspect of this, you saw AOC, for example, cancel her events this weekend, the tour that she's been on. She was supposed to be in North Carolina this weekend. Nancy Mace, who's campaigning for governor, current congresswoman in South Carolina, she has canceled her events for the near future. What Speaker Johnson has said is that obviously people are coming to him, members of Congress, in droves, fearing for their lives, fearing for their ability to really do their job. And what you've seen is that since 2023, we had about 9,000 threats against members of Congress. That rose in 2024 to 14,000. So this is clearly escalating. But what is the big question is who's going to pay for this additional security? Mm-hmm. So as someone who's run for office before, I can tell you it's very hard to imagine not being able to really go in front of crowds or fearing going in front of crowds, because that's pretty much your job to do. And that's how you campaign and get your message out there. It's part of our political process.
Taryn, I want to give you a chance to weigh in. I do want to play some sound of Erica Kirk in just a second. But first, I would like to give you the opportunity to give me your reaction and give our viewers your reaction to what has taken place this week. And also now with the news that this funeral is a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, I completely am heartbroken over this situation. And I think most people are, because the threat of political violence is really a threat to democracy and the very country that we live in. Mm-hmm. And so I think we all need to have this as a call to take the temperature down on so many levels, whether it's social media, whether it's just in talking to your neighbor. Everyone needs to take that temperature down because we don't want to see this escalating violence. If you think back, we saw such a horrible thing happen to Congresswoman Gabby Giffords all those years ago. Her staff and many people were injured in that incident. And then just to have this on the heels of gunned down in their homes in Minnesota, elected officials. This is heartbreaking. This is scary and terrifying stuff. We need to be able to go and have them do their jobs, and we need to be able to speak out. We need to have free speech. It's something that constitutionally we protect, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything in our power, including the people, taking that temperature down, trying to find ways to unite, and trying to find ways to really make sure that we are being the kind of democracy we want to be and an example to others in the world. And this continuing violence and escalation of it isn't going to be that. That's not who we are as Americans.
It's not. And you brought up some really important things that have just happened that we need to reflect on as well. I also, it was all eyes on Erica Kirk last night, Charlie Kirk's widow, speaking out for the first time since her husband's death. It was an emotional address. Let's take a listen together.
The movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger. bolder, louder, and greater than ever.
Amanda, did you listen to the whole thing? What did you think of that?
I did. I just thought she's so strong. This is like 48 hours, less than 72 hours after her husband has been assassinated. She has two young children she has to explain that to. And I think the real moment for everyone who was watching was when she started talking about how she has to explain this to her 3-year-old daughter.
Yes.
That daddy's gone home to a work trip with Jesus. And how do you explain that to a 3-year-old? That is so hard, and everything that she has to bear right now, seeing her hold the cross she gave Charlie when they were dating, to have that in her hand. I mean, those things are just, they go to our core. We feel for her, we hurt for her, and no one should have to go through this. And, seeing this, listening to her just should make everyone stop and think about what has happened. Someone who wanted to have a political discussion on college campuses was assassinated for wanting to engage in dialogue. That's how bad we've gotten in this country, and we've got to course correct.
Taryn, I want to give you a chance to react to her speech. I kept thinking to myself when I was listening to her, and it was so powerful and it was so moving. And, so soon after her husband was killed, I just kept thinking, I wonder if the suspected killer will hear her words, if not soon, someday. Your reaction to her speech last night?
Yeah, I think it's really important because one of the things that we want to see to continue to happen in this country is that people aren't scared to go to school, to rallies. Like, the safety and security of our country has never been more important and never been more at the forefront here. And so we need to think and really come together to find solutions. What can we do to make sure that people don't have access to these kinds of guns and being able to kill people in this way? Like, we don't want an assassination at a rally like that is something that we never want to see again, right? We need to work and focus on this. And that does mean coming together to find laws that can protect us, to find ways to improve our security. And it finds ways that people can feel safe going to school, to church, and to being an elected official, being safe in your own home. I mean, just a few years ago, if you remember correctly, Speaker Pelosi's husband's, head was bashed. These aren't things, they have to be safe in their homes. Those elected officials were killed in their homes in Minnesota in the most devastating of way. And and children killed at a school. Like, we can't continue in this manner. And so I see and hear her words, and I do believe she is so strong, but she is also sending the right message. Continue your work. Continue to do what you believe in. We also need to come together, and hopefully we all will as a country, to find ways to protect those people to do those very things.
Ladies, thank you both, Amanda Mackey and Taryn Rosenkranz. Appreciate you joining us today.